How's it going, everybody? Today we have another install on the big Bronco here at Underground Graphics. I'm your installer, Gion. We have the Drift Topography, and there is a pun there on purpose because this is the part 2 of our drift kit. Now this is designed and inspired by the RTR Fun Haver, and we do have a few different options for this. Of course, as usual, you can get this in different colors. Right now we are doing our Badlands orange shade that we like to use by 3M. All of our film is air release, and we do not have wet install graphics, so this one is not any different than what we typically put on here. It is a dry install. So with this, we do have multiple versions of this. Though I did mention that you guys can get it in a custom color, we do have what is called the slant back, which is what we will be installing on this one. And shortly after that install, we will be putting on the full kit that will go all the way to the back of the body line. I'll let you guys know about that once we get there. But with this one, we do have an option for the hood or without the hood. That is totally up to you. If you want to leave that hood blank, or if you just want to order a solid hood without the topography, that, again, of course, is up to you. We do have different options as well for the sides. We have a blank side, as I mentioned, the slant back side and the full back side. Now, as I said, this one is going to be a slant back, so we'll get into that install right when we get through the tools. First, you do want to have a heat gun. Now, this is going to be usually used last. It is for heat checking, making sure that your vinyl is down and that you don't have any bubbles or any places that you missed with going over that squeegee. It will tell you if you have anything that's not adhering to the paint, so that way you can take care of it right then and there. We have, of course, microfiber towels. You do want to make sure you have a few of those, and you do want to make sure that they are clean, same as your hands and your environment. This, of course, is something that you want to do inside. You don't want to do this outside, where anything can end up underneath the material. It is extremely difficult to get certain things out from underneath, and other things, depending on what it is, might not come out from that vinyl. Next up, we have a squeegee, and this one is a hard card, and we do provide a squeegee for you guys if that is something that you want to get off of our website. But this one is just a little bit different. Of course, it is red, and it is a hard card on both sides. However, on the website, we do offer monkey strips, or felt, in other words, that will fold over the side of that squeegee and will help you aid protection on your paint when you're doing your install. Of course, with these installs, we do recommend that you guys have it done by a professional, but we do try to make them as easy for the DIYer in case that is something you prefer to do. Next up, we've got our blades. We have our retractable knife. Now, those we don't have on the website, but you can get one from a hobby store, something like that. It just makes sure that it is sharp and that the blade is not dull, because it will make for clean cuts if you have a sharp blade. Next, a pair of scissors. Of course, make sure those are sharp as well. A roll of tape. Now, we do prefer to use the 1-inch tape, but I do try to use as many pieces as I can just to make sure that everything is going to stay aligned properly, and that when we use what we like to call our hinge method, everything's going to fall right in place where it should be. And last but not least, we have our cleaning products that we have here. Now, this is pre-prep solutions that we have for installs. We do have these on the website. You can purchase these, as well as our protectant and our cleaner that we have for our vinyl applications also. We do have the alcohol water mix. Now, this is our typical alcohol water mix that we've used in our previous videos. We just have this one in a nice bottle for you guys to purchase if that's something you'd like to do. Typically, I like to wipe off the vehicle with the alcohol water, go back with the slide solution. Now, it does say wet/PPF solution, but that is a mixture of Dawn dish soap with a bottle of water. Now, I do go back over the paint with a clay bar, make sure it doesn't have any rough texture to it or any weird contaminants, and then back again with the alcohol water mix just to make sure that all of that soap and water is off and that the area is ready for an application. Now that we've taken care of that, let's get into that install. Okay, so we're gonna get ahead, go on to the slant back that we have. Our usual install, we're just gonna break this tape here. Now, this does go to the top of this body line, so it is very easy to line up. Of course, make sure that you tape everything up before you start your install. And this is that hinge method that we were talking about earlier. Just use that tape to line up your edges. And even though I do have a different squeegee for this, this is very similar to that felt squeegee that I had mentioned. And when you get to your gas door, just press lightly because it will try to open if you press too hard. So that when you get to that, just kind of graze over that. Alright, so we have this side laid down. Go back over here. Always be sure to move your tape to the top of the mask, that way you don't forget about it. As usual, you do want to do this in a controlled environment. You don't want to have too warm of an install area or too cold. If it is too cold, the vinyl may not stick right away. It might be difficult to get this clear mask off. And this is a mask just to keep everything in place and together. Definitely don't want to take this off before the install. These door handles can be a little tricky. Might have to try and close off around them first. Go, got the door handle closed off. I am going to go back over and just kind of press down everywhere I was, just in case there's anything I missed. Of course, the heat gun will tell us if we missed anything. Now we can head on to the front. Break the tape as usual here. See if it'll let me pull it loose. If your tape doesn't actually work for you, for this kit, that is okay. It will go up to this inset body line. If you can manage to get that tape to stay down. Oops. There we go. Got that one to stay. Same technique. Use my tape marker over here since that top one didn't work for me. This is why it is good to use multiple pieces of tape. Line this up. Back over that one more time. Make sure you get your recesses down here, as well as the ones up top. We should be good to start removing. Now, when removing the mask, you do want to pull at 180 degrees. This one is a little bit tricky because there is still space up here where the vinyl hasn't connected or adhered to the paint. You don't want to try to push this in with the mask still on because that mask is rigid. So you do want to pull this off and then go back with a heat gun and get that to sit in there at 180 degree pull. Same as the front, not changing anything. Just always keep watch of where the edge of the mask is to make sure that you're not having anything pull up. If you do have little bubbles or something like this, that's fine. As mentioned, this is air release, so those will come out. Pull this up just so it doesn't catch the mask. Of course, don't push that down because you do want to have that little bit of space there. So you can open that door. Now we grab our blade, head over to the front door here. Make sure we have a good clean line. I'm going to be pushing my blade just firmly enough against this front door to cut the vinyl so I can fold the back door over. If you want to go ahead, you can open this front door, fold this over. You can use your finger if you want to, or you can use your squeegee to rock that in there. If you do use your finger, of course, start on the outside edge and just slowly work your way in there. And if your cut wasn't as clean on that edge of the door as you want it to be, you can trim this. That is fine. That is totally up to you guys. Now we have that tucked, we can head on to the back. I am going to push in this quarter panel first, then I'm going to work the door. And here we do have just a bit of a bubble, nothing too crazy. Just going to gently massage that out. That is why we use air release vinyl and why we do dry install, because if that was a wet install bubble, then it would still be trapped underneath there. So I'm just going to use our heat gun and just barely warm up this area. It's going to start have those waves in it, and then it's going to flatten out. And once it flattens out, you can start to feed it into that body line recess. And you do want to start with the gas door first and work your way forward, because that body line does pinch off and you can trap air if you were to go from the front to the back. Make sure that stays warm. You don't want it to get too hot. Might have to put a little bit of extra attention on those topography lines just to make sure they stay down properly. well as while you're heating up this body line, it gives you a chance to somewhat heat check this fender, which you will go back and heat check everything. For these edges, same thing, you just want to gently roll those in there and just slowly work those in. Alright. Now we're going to move on to typically what is seen as the more difficult part of these installs, cutting out the gas door. Now I like to start somewhere towards the bottom of the gas door because that is where the knife is going to start. And if you start here, come around, and end here, you might end up having a little bit of a point just from that being your starting area. So you do want to just somewhat go around, try to take your time, be as clean as possible. Okay, so once you have that cut down, you can heat up your gas door and your quarter panel and slowly start folding in that edge. And once you have that started, you can just go ahead and open it and just get those edges down. Okay, so now let's move on to the passenger rear door. I did want to start on this quarter panel first, just so that way everything was tucked here, and that way this could just go ahead and fold in easily. Nothing was going to get stuck to anything else. So as with this one, we're going to start with that body line, and then work that edge in. Now we did already go ahead and heat check this side when we were putting in that gas door and the body line. This part is maybe the only thing that's been heat checked so far. So I am going to show you guys how to properly do it from this point on forward, and then we will install that hood. So you do want to be just a few inches away, and you do want to make sure that heat gun is at its peak temperature, and that is by letting it just kind of run and warm up for about 10 to 15 seconds. You do want to just constantly go in small circles. Make sure that you're getting the most coverage out of that heat without staying in one spot for too long, because that can, especially on a matte material like this, it can cause glossy spots. Take your time, keep your eyes where the silver of the heat gun is, because that will show you if there's any air. Just a little bit here. And I'm happy with that. All right, let's move on to that hood. All right, so this one is going to be a fairly quick install. If you've seen our hood installs before, you know that this is fairly easy, but we do want to show you guys this because it is an option for the kit. So we've taken off the slant back that we had here. If anyone had tuned in for that, we did have it cut off before it got to that body line. This one is the full back, so it is going to extend just a few inches further than what that slant back did. It is going to stop at that body line before it curves around to that tailgate. Now do keep in mind that we do only have this currently for the 4-door. We don't have this kit for the 2-door yet. But this install will be just as simple as the slant back, so we'll just get right into it. Okay, so few things with this install. There are a few spots that I left somewhat floating, and by that I do mean that I didn't stick them down all the way. Don't want to forget that's there. And those spots will show up here in just a moment. Of course, the most obvious one would be the middle. You don't want to get that section down first, or leave that floating. But first spot would be right here. We're going to pull away from that very slowly, because that is not stuck on the vehicle. You do want to keep the opposite side that you're pulling tight, so you want to make sure that your hands are clean. This is the easiest way to get this to conform around this corner. Same thing here on the bottom. This one is a little bit easier to pull because everything is stuck to the vehicle at the top here. So I've got this part floating as well. I'm going to start at the bottom and get this down. We need to use our heat gun. Now while you're here, I would suggest going ahead and doing a quick heat check on that lower portion, pretty much up until that body line. We do have some air here. I'm just going to stop right at that body line and then come right up to here where we had that bigger piece that was just floating. If you don't feel too confident with your squeegee, you can use your thumb or your finger and try and get some of this down. Of course, don't add too much heat to it, just a little bit. Slowly work that there. A little bit of heat back here. Right, there we go. Now we have that down. I'm going to go ahead, get this body line in. That way we can start trimming the gas door and then trimming out this bumper piece that's back here. Once again, we're going to open up this door. Onto the gas door, same thing. We're going to make sure this is good and warm. This time I'm going to use my squeegee. Just get a good edge. Let's move on down to the bumper, and then we will heat check everything. Alright, and always be sure to heat check everything, especially if you order anything that is a 2-layer. You do want to make sure that it is down, especially on these edges. There might be a little bit of air just from your squeegee not making full contact from this being a top layer piece. So just give it a thorough check over with that heat gun. Make sure you're pleased with your install, and just lay down any of those edges. All right, so now we've gone ahead and heat checked everything on the vehicle. We can go ahead, hit the road, or you can do whatever you need to do. As I said before, this is a dry install, so once you've heat checked everything, then you are all set to go. You don't have to worry about things lifting up as long as you were thorough with that heat check. Now, of course, if you guys do have any questions at all with this either install, any of our graphics, or with this kit, please let us know. If you want to do anything custom and add a different color or something that you may have not seen here today on this install, please reach out to us. We are here from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and we will answer to phone calls and emails. Thank you guys. Like and subscribe.